Welcome to Pixel Pizza,
Did she say pizza?
your ultimate source for chiptunes, video game talk, and pepperoni. Delivered to you from Los Angeles and into the digital cyberspace of the 2020s.
Pizza power!
That's right, one super giant pizza.
I want a large, thick crust with double cheese, ham, pepperoni. Hey, where's my pizza? Pizza time.
Welcome back to the Pixel Pizza podcast, listeners. You just heard from our chiptune artist of the week, the Divingons, and that track was called 1 Million Billion Errors. So, hope you enjoyed that one. And now we are here with our game industry guests for the week. I'm very excited to be speaking to the developers behind Bamerang and the recently released Henry Halfhead from Lululu Entertainment in Zurich, Switzerland. This is Aaron, Abt, and Tim Bürge. How are you doing, guys?
Hey, I'm doing very good.
I'm doing great. Thank you for having us.
Of course. So, for each of you guys, when in your lives did you know you wanted to work in games?
For me, it took me a while. After high school, I noticed that I have various interests ranging from more technical stuff, which is why I first also applied for computer science studies. And then I also noticed that I really am longing for more creative fields and endeavors as well. And then eventually I noticed that there's at the university in Zurich game design program that really caught my interest.
For me, so I've been playing games since I've been 8 years old, I think. Like I got a Game Boy from my grandma when I was 8, and that was the beginning of the passion for games. But like as a career path, it was a bit similar to Aaron. I come from drawing, so from a designer background, and I wanted to study illustration or animation. And then I noticed that there was also a game design studies here in Zurich. And it was really hard for me to decide between animation or game design. But in the end, I thought that game design would be, more interesting or more diverse in a way. And then I chose that.
Would you say it has been, or do you think, if you went back, animation would be something you'd consider?
Yeah, there's a local animation festival that we really like to go to. And there it's always like, oh, animation is so cool. So I'm still really fan of the scene and of the work that people do in animation, but I'm happy with my choice.
Absolutely. That's great. And so you guys met at school, right?
Yes, in our studies, exactly. And yeah, funnily enough, we actually started working together in the very first month of our study. So Bamerang was the very first prototype we developed in the first month of our program.
Wow.
Yeah, going strong since then.
It was kind of fate. You found each other that quickly.
Yeah, it's nice or cute looking back that we still work that well together.
Yeah.
Almost 10 years ago, right?
Next year,
9,
next
I guess,
summer.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, so tell me more about Bamerang and what it was like, in the early days with the prototype and everything.
I think that's what that very first module was meant to be, to really just throw us into the water and tell us, okay, go make a game that you want to make. We had some constraints, like it had to be inspired by I think, some Atari games that we had to pick, I think. And then it also had to be made in Game Maker, and it had this time frame of just a few weeks, barely a month, I think, to really just try to create a game and see what it's like, and to like realize what the challenges are. And that was really liberating and also really fun at the beginning of the studies.
That was smart of you guys to choose something with that kind of scope then. Something
Yeah.
something a bit smaller.
Yeah, and I think it was a good decision to do something or like do a local multiplayer game, because there a lot of fun is being created by the players' interactions with each other. So that was really nice.
Yeah. And I love the visual style of the game too.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it was my first time doing pixel art. And it was a lot of fun, especially to animate as well. It was great and it
Wow.
was really fast, like creating these quirky characters that have a few frames for the animations, just a few pixels basically.
Hmm. How did you sort of come to grips with doing pixel art? Because I would never have guessed it was your first time.
I think I just experimented a bit with it. Yeah, I think I've always liked to try out new styles and to switch a bit in between styles.
Hmm.
So it's fun for me to try new mediums or new art styles.
It was really awesome how well people resonated with also the expressiveness of the animations of the characters. Actually, our studio name, Lululu, was inspired by some people making similar shouts when they saw the Bamerang characters run around.
I love that. What was it like for on your side, Aaron?
Um, just really awesome that we really quickly thought that this Bamerang idea clicked for us, and we knew what we wanted to do. And also just creating a game for the first time and seeing how fast one can progress just with limited skills, if the scope is like chosen right. That was really cool. And also looking back, that the game that we eventually released 3 years later, after, or 5 years later after our
Yeah.
studies, was gameplay wise pretty much the same like the first prototype that we created in 3 weeks. So we really managed to do a lot at the beginning there, and it was really fun.
Wow. So what was sort of added and changed in development before it came out commercially?
I think it was mostly just the stuff around the core game loop. The core game loop that we had was just this battling on this one field, and when someone scored 30 points, the game was won. And then we added this multi-round system where it's a best of 5 that you play, some backgrounds that change along the way to keep it engaging throughout these matches. And then, of course, also lots of onboarding and tutorializing to explain people the game when we're not there. I think that took a lot of time.
Mm.
Mm.
And
We, we,
porting to the Switch that we
mhm.
eventually did for Bamerang was also quite a learning process, doing it for the first time.
Sure. I mean, that is like a perfect game for the Switch because you can just take off the controllers and play with anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
And one of the other things that I thought was really cool about the game is there was some praise around the internet for the trailer. Was that something you guys made yourself, or did you have like a friend or something work on it?
we did that ourselves, and we were also really happy to see that praise. We were also ourselves happy with the trailer.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
it's something that's it takes a lot of time, and is at the beginning also stressful, trying to come up with concepts that's really concise and explains the game well and is engaging to watch. But to this day, we really like it a lot, making of trailers.
Yeah, it's a very challenging thing, I feel like, to convey everything you want to about what makes the game fun in like a 2 minute or so trailer.
Yeah. And it needs to hook viewers really quickly, right? Like in today's world, like the first 10 seconds need to be super engaging. So there's a lot of stuff we try to think about when we make these trailers.
Right. And I know since then you guys have had a presence on like TikTok and Instagram Reels. So I imagine that's even harder because yeah, you have even less time to show what makes your game interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, and also hard to because we like making videos and trailers so much, to try to keep the effort down for these platforms where like we're supposed to create like more amounts of videos and not
Sure.
just like focus on one particular one.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's basically its own job. It's like the advertisement marketing job.
Yeah,
I'm sure you know it as well with
I
your
do.
podcast.
Yes, yes. Being my own marketing department is not necessarily what I signed up for, but it's a fun challenge.
Yeah,
So then when did you start development on Henry Halfhead?
we started. So the very first prototype, it was we developed in 2018, and it was also part of a university project. And we developed it in a module. It was a character design class where we had the task to create a character that has a superpower, but also a disability at the same time.
Mm,
And then we came up with this character that is only half a head, but can use everything as a body. And then after our studies, we graduated in 2019. We picked up Bamerang again and finished it in 2021. And then after a few weeks of break, we continued working part-time on Henry Halfhead. So it has been for 4 years, yes.
wow.
Yeah, quite the journey.
Hmm. Yeah, I can imagine because even though it's a fairly short game, there's so many different things you can interact with. That would take a long time. So how did you kind of decide on all of the different objects that Henry can interact with and how they would uh, play out?
So in the beginning of the process, when we picked the game up again, we just played with it again. So we made lots of idea lists and we made lots of little doodles of object ideas and spread them all out on paper before us. And we made these little toy-like sandboxes in Unity.
Mm,
Um, but then pretty quickly we decided to go for a story. So we knew we wanted to tell a story with Henry. And that really gave a lot of the context that you see in the game. So we decided to tell the story of Henry's whole life. Um, yeah, and then these chapters that we wanted, or we knew like in each chapter, we want to tell certain things about Henry. And then these things kind of dictated what objects we designed. And of course, we also did lots of optional things in the little levels.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was kind of the red string that guided us.
Were there ever any things that playtesters like thought they could do as far as optional stuff, but you couldn't, but then you like went back and added it in?
I'm
There must have
sure.
been.
Yes. Um, I can only think about stuff that we didn't manage to put in the game. Um, Yeah.
What were some of those? What were some of the things that got left on the cutting room floor?
I think in the cooking that popped into my mind, like the cooking we had to leave in a way kind of basic. So you can cook spaghetti with all sorts of topics
Mm.
and cake. You can bake a cake in the game. But we also had these visions of, oh yeah, you can make a pizza or like different recipes and stuff like that. But yeah, that landed on the very long ideas list.
Well, being on this show, I have to say I'm a little disappointed. There's no pizza content, maybe DLC.
Well,
Yeah,
well, if you're creative, you can make a like dough and tomato cake and like
very
Oh,
call it a
true.
true.
pizza.
Yeah, yeah, and you can put a mushroom on there,
Here
maybe a
you go.
zucchini.
Mm. More of
Yeah,
like a deep dish pizza, because it's
yeah,
more like a cake.
true.
So imagine it must have been pretty fun trying to rethink how someone would do like basic everyday tasks with that different set of abilities.
Yeah, I think that's where we really fell in love with this concept and the core idea of the game. Like showing everyday life in this different way. And we really had a lot of fun during development. Um, yeah, it's just silly fun to prototype these interactions and have Henry's little googly eyes on all of the objects. Yeah.
And I think lots of the fun comes from this experience of the physicality of these interactions, right?
Yeah, that was another thing I was curious to hear more about was like from a physics perspective, what went into it?
On a very technical level, we just used the physics that the Unity engine provided us, and that worked out really well to get quick results that are already fun. And then we just try to like push it into place so the weirdest of glitches don't happen that often.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then we tried to design the move sets and the interactions in a way that makes them still casual and approachable enough. So we didn't want to have any like really hard platforming challenges or stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely one of the things that stuck out to me is it's a very easygoing vibe in the game. You don't feel rushed to do anything. You feel like you can take it at your own pace. There's no health bar. There's no, it's just, you think of the solution when you think of it.
Yeah, exactly. That was important to us to have no fail state and to let people enjoy it without any pressure.
I mean, I was even surprised. One of the first things I tried was electrocuting Henry in the sink, and they were okay even after that.
Yeah,
Did you try
some
that
good.
in the childhood chapter already?
I think so, yeah. I haven't gotten to the elderly chapter yet. I forget
Mm.
exactly where I stopped. I think like three-quarters of the way through. But thank you guys so much for letting me get the to play the game early. I've had like 175 guests before, but nobody's ever offered me a code before, so that was really special.
Sure, really
Nice.
awesome that you played.
Of course,
Mhm.
it definitely helped me with, figuring out what was interesting and what to ask, so it was very exciting. And I mean, you mentioned there were some like silly glitches that came up. Any particularly funny ones that were like running jokes?
Um, I guess that Henry, have you noticed maybe that when you jump often, the character starts to not jump straight up, but starts to do little flips?
Mm.
That's something that just came up from the impreciseness, I guess, of these forces. That even though we just add a vertical force, the character eventually starts to topple and fall, and then you make these fun somersaults. That's really cool.
Yeah, one that came to my mind was that we use a little, or basically Henry's ears wiggle with physics. And when Henry falls off the void space platform, then the ears they get through the physics, they get really like pulled to through space, and that was funny a lot of times. Or we had a cheat code that lets Henry move at 10 times their speed. And then Henry had like these really long goblin ears. That was fun.
That sounds really fun. I can only imagine all of the chaos moving around that fast.
Yeah.
And one of the other things I really liked about the game was the super catchy theme song from Lucien.
Hmm.
What direction did you guys give him on that?
Good question. I think I don't, do you remember, Aaron?
I think nothing too specific, especially for
Mhm.
this particular theme song. I do remember that in the very beginning, when we're looking for a musical direction, something that Lucien brought up as one inspiration would be these bossa this bossa genre, right?
Mhm.
Um, that he followed for a bit and created some stuff, but eventually it changed into a different direction, I think.
Yeah. I remember that we had the Bugsnax theme song by Kego
Mm,
Kego Benito
sure.
on our mood board. And I think then we kind of were pushing Lucia into trying out vocals a bit. That's something I remember. Um, yeah, but I'm really happy with that song, or like
Yeah,
with the whole soundtrack. It's really, yeah, it really elevates the game's mood.
totally. I can definitely hear the similarities in the vibe now that you're mentioning it.
And like with Bamerang, Lucien was super involved in the whole project. That was super cool. For Bamerang, he even designed the whole audioscape with the soundtrack and the sound design, like as
Oh,
one
wow.
package. For Henry, we started off trying stuff like that, but eventually we noticed that there's so much music to create that we eventually helped with some of the sound design and made much of the things also with sound libraries
Hmm.
with a more like naturalistic sound style.
Yeah, that makes sense from, a resource perspective, and because there are so many different objects, I imagine that people would just expect different sounds associated with it. So, yeah, if you can find direct captures of those, that's probably the best way to do it. And I had a couple questions about, the external work that both of you guys did. So I know, Aaron, you also had a job doing VR and AR experiences. Uh, what did that kind of teach you? What was that about?
Um, I mean, it was mostly nice that it shares the same kind of craft with using the game engine to create interactive experiences. But at that job, it was much more applied for specific use cases that customers came and asked for. But we could also use some of our game design knowledge to often add tutorials for these applications that were engaging. Some of the applications that we did were teaching or training applications where we
Oh,
also could use some of our game design knowledge to create, yeah, fun lessons.
I always thought that was such a cool possibility, and I don't know if anyone's really explored it yet, is using VR and AR in classrooms to get kids more engaged in literature or history or different things rather than just reading it in a textbook or watching a video.
Yeah, I think one project was exactly that, trying to teach primary school kids the atomic model.
Oh,
So they get to know about molecules and atoms and also state changes in water. So we made them a little teleport spaceship with which they could dive into a lake and see the molecules of the water and then change the temperature and see how the molecules change in structure. And still think that's a really cool application for VR.
yeah, that's amazing. And Tim, you also worked on another game that recently came out, Herdling. which is very different visually. I mean, it also is kind of a more slower paced game. But what was that experience like?
Yes, I've been an artist at Locomotive part-time now for 5 years already. So I also worked on Far Changing Tides,
Oh,
the studio's previous game, and now the recently released Hurdling exactly. Yeah, I really like working at Locomotive. It's great. It's like visually, it's a whole different style than Henry. It's way more painterly.
hmm.
Um, yeah, but again, like I like the switch up on the art style. It's always a challenge. And I really enjoy working with the creative director of Locomotive, with Don Schmoker. It's really nice. And I think I learn a lot at Locomotive, but also at Lululu, of course. It's like I can use at both jobs. I can use learnings from the other.
That's amazing. Yeah, that you can apply what you're doing at each studio in the other one.
Mhm.
And I was curious for each of you guys, what is something about your personal process that nobody knows?
I need to take a quick sip of water.
No problem.
It's part of my process.
Yeah, sure.
You don't want to spill the secrets. Part of our secret. It's a good question. I think we talk a lot, but that's probably not very unique. Um, yeah, we make maybe paper prototypes.
Mm,
I don't know how unique that is, but that's something that we got taught in our studies. That yeah, it's just really helpful to lay out things on paper, to make little characters, and to simulate the game on paper, basically. Because then a lot of questions pop up that you know you will have to answer one day.
Everyone in the team knows how to use the engine,
Mm.
at least on a basic level, and even knows how to program a bit.
mm.
I think that might be something special. So while Leander in the team and I did most of the programming, and this year another team member, Jan, also joined to help with that. Tim, who otherwise mostly did the art, also again and again chimed in to prototype some interaction or do a little visual polish feature that required some coding. That was really cool.
Mm. Some hacky coding. Yes, I would say the same also goes for art, right?
Mhm.
So you also made 3D models. So like when you needed a quick model and I was busy with something else, you could also whip up a model. So a lot of all-rounders in our team.
That's great. And yeah, that is something that's very unique. I feel like oftentimes there's what leads to a lot of disconnect between team members is not knowing how the other one does things and does their job with their software. And obviously, I imagine it would be much more difficult to have that kind of relationship with a bigger studio, but it's very cool that you guys are able to communicate and collaborate with that shared knowledge.
Did you click on the Henry model or the 3D models in the main menu?
I did not.
Nobody does that. I mean, it's really hidden, but that's something that
Yeah.
Tim hacked in last minute before the
Oh,
release. So the stuff, when you click it, wiggles a bit and does a
okay.
sound.
Yeah. We can like squish Henry like flip, flip, flip.
Okay, I'll have to try that. That's fun. So, one of the big themes of Henry Halfhead is breaking your routine and having more fun in your life. And so I was wondering, for each of you guys, when was a time in your life when you did that?
Have breaking routine and having fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think during our studies, or for me, the study time was a lot of like free flowing fun time. I was living in a big shared flat with 5 other people, And yeah, there was just a lot of fun in the studies with a lot of different projects, so a lot of or like a lot of creative outputs, but also at home a lot happening. That was a good time. And now I'm looking forward to a longer holiday, so I hope that will become a time of breaking the routine.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was definitely also the time in the studies where I think I tried many activities and had lots of more diverse interests. And funnily enough, we did have lots of fun making Henry Halfhead, and it was a really enjoyable experience. But I think it was the time in my life where I had the most like routine of doing the same-ish thing every day.
Sure.
But of course, we're an indie team and all have that diverse set of skills. So like no game was the same, and it was really fun.
That's great. But yeah, then let me ask, what kind of interests and hobbies do you guys have outside of game development?
I
For me, oh, you go.
okay, I picked up skateboarding 2 years ago.
Oh,
That's something
wow.
I do now, and I like to read comics, and I do play a lot of games as well, if that
Hmm.
counts.
Are there any good comics you're reading right now? Because I've just started getting into that.
Right now, I'm reading. It's called Abfackeln in German, like burning down,
Hmm.
and I'm just like one third in. Can't tell that much. It's visually nice,
Mm.
and I still have to see about the story where it takes me.
Yeah, it can be hard to tell when you're at that point.
Like one comic that I really enjoyed was Headlopper by Andrew MacLean.
Hmm.
It's like a very cleanly drawn fantasy comic, but with a very nice flat art style.
Ooh,
And yeah, to my hobbies, I like to go running. That's like something that is important to me for to balance things out mentally, especially.
sure.
And going to concerts, I really like sometimes little arts and crafts projects, but yeah, I haven't really done any of those in the last few weeks.
What was the last concert you went to?
Oh, what was the last concert? Um, I don't remember actually. Yeah, maybe something will pop in my head later.
Okay, no problem. Let me know. So, you guys also describe Lululu as a young game studio. And I was curious to know what are some of your goals with the studio as it grows up?
It's a good question that we also kind of have to ask ourselves right now.
I guess
Um,
keeping our young spirit in terms of our interests, in terms of our ideas of the games that we want to make, while still thinking about how we can keep doing it sustainably. I
Mm.
think that's something that we think about a lot right now after Henry Halfhead came out, and right now that we're thinking about what to do next.
I remember the concert. I think it wasn't the last, but one of the last fews, and it was Feast. It's like a
Oh, yeah.
singer-songwriter. You know her?
Okay, I know her. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that
cool.
was really, really nice. Yeah, a really nice stage show. It was a very cool experience.
Hmm. I was just at I was at the Hollywood Bowl. They had
Mm.
The Offspring, if you know them, and
Mm-hmm.
they had The who were doing
Oh,
their final tour in North America. So
wow,
that was really exciting and a lot of
that
fun.
sounds cool. Yeah,
Yeah, it was a
Cool.
great.
is the Hollywood Bowl that dome, or
Yes,
is that yeah?
that's the dome. Yeah,
Yeah, crazy.
outside. So
Very cool.
then I have to ask, this is the Pixel Pizza podcast. Aaron and Tim, where are your favorite pizza places?
Mine is called Rosso, and it's in Zurich near Hartbrücke. and it serves this really nice, thin, crusty pizza.
Having a really hard time of thinking about places right now.
10.
Yeah, that's
That's
our
what we had.
go-to pizza delivery
Oh, okay.
place that we had on launch day.
Yeah, it's probably the pizza I also ate the most already in
Yeah,
Zurich.
I like them.
It's a good way to celebrate the release with pizza.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you guys both so much for joining me today.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you. It was
us.
a pleasure.
Of course. So where can people keep track of you guys and the games?
You can follow us at Lululu Games on all social media platforms. And yeah, you can support us by getting Henry Halfhead on Steam, PlayStation, and Switch.
Great. Awesome. So I'll have those links below. And thank you all so much for listening today. I hope you have a great day. And now you're going to hear one more track from our chiptune artist of the week, the Divingons, and that is called Clay Malachi. So hope you enjoy that, and we will see you next week with a brand new Pixel Pizza.